Assalamu alaikum everyone. So today we're going to be discussing unemployment from the point of view of economics. You all already know that unemployment is when people run out of jobs, and currently it's happening at a rapid pace in the world. So we're going to be discussing how unemployment takes place in the point of view of classical economics and modern economics. Obviously there are a lot of reasons behind that, but we'll be discussing 3 reasons of each. So coming to classical economics first, what does classical economics basically have to say about unemployment? Traditionally, it was believed that unemployment is caused due to 3 main reasons. Number 1 being due to cyclical or seasonal unemployment, which is when a person is learning a new skill for his change in jobs. For example, when suppose an agricultural farmer starts to learn stitching for the purpose of changing what he earns through, right? So that was one reason. The second reason was simply because some people choose not to work because they're being paid enough by the welfare programs of the government. The third reason that classical economics said about unemployment was because when people demanded more wages or more salaries than the employers could afford to pay them. So simply the only reason that they could the only way that they could go on with their businesses was to lay off more and more people, and eventually they wouldn't have enough labor force because they wouldn't be able to afford a larger labor force, and that's how businesses would probably end. So these were the 3 reasons of unemployment by classical economics. The reasons of unemployment that modern economics explains is that number 1, there are too many people available for the same job. Too many people with the same skills, with the same qualifications are applying for the same job, which means that it becomes very difficult to employ all of them. There are fewer positions and more people applying for these positions. That's number 1. The second reason is because job employers now require a diverse set of skills that is not conventional. They require a different set of skills and more creativity and innovation, which are not found in most people these days. So that is one reason why most people they end up not being employed. The third reason, which is the most obvious one, is because machines and technology are now replacing human beings as there's more advancement of science. So the human beings are not required for the same jobs anymore because they're being performed by machinery now. So these are the 3 reasons that modern economics says about unemployment. So moving on to an economist named John Maynard Keynes. He's a very important person in the world of economics. So what he invented was political reality. He spoke about the reality behind political economics, and what he said was that governments could help create jobs even at times of recession, even at times when machines will perhaps replace human beings, because he said this at a time when there was still not much scientific advancement in terms of machinery replacing human beings. So what he said was that governments could take a lot of loan to create public projects that will require a large workforce. In this way, the unemployed workforce will find jobs and they'll be employed in these public projects. In turn, the issue of unemployment will be met, and it will be beneficial for the nation as well, because these public projects will be adding to the infrastructure of the country. However, the criticism to this was that eventually who is going to pay for the loan that the governments would take to create these jobs? How he answered this criticism is that he made something called a multiplier effect. What he said was that if the governments take on a lot of loans to create jobs and to invest into public projects, what happens is that more people are going to be employed, which means that the purchasing power parity of these people is going to increase. That means that these people can now buy things with their salaries, with what they earn. That means they're going to go out more and buy more things, and consumerism is going to increase. Consumption is going to increase. So not only is the government going to be able to tax on the things that are being sold, it is also going to be able to tax the businesses that are running the businesses. Basically, the government is going to be taxing these businesses. And with all this pool of taxes that is now being collected, the government can not only pay off its debt, which it previously invested into these projects, but it could also use this to pay more people, more salaries to people. So in this way, he said that taking loans to invest into public sector projects can be beneficial in many ways, and it could also help to deal with the issue of unemployment. However, this theory no longer holds very valid today in the world that we're living in. And nowadays, the theory that has replaced this theory of John Maynard Keynes is called neoliberalism, which we are probably going to be speaking about in the next video. But just to add on to John Maynard Keynes, I would like to say that if he were alive today, he wouldn't disagree to these advancements in economics and philosophies of economics that are being made by neoliberalism, because it is known that he was asked what he does what he does with his theories when there's a lot of new things adding on to economics, because economics is a subject that is dynamic and it constantly keeps on changing as the environment and the circumstances of business keeps on changing. So what he said was that when the facts are changed, I alter my conclusions. So that's all for today. I hope you liked it.